This is the fundraising tools session, and basically these are a few exercises that we're going to go through. I know it looks a bit overwhelming, but trust me, it's not that. It's supposed to be fun and exciting. I'm sure everyone has come across at least one of these tools before, but these are tools that I think are personally essential when you're undertaking fundraising. And they're not just, although today I'm coming from the point of view with an emphasis on applications to trusts and grants and stuff like that, these are actually applicable to fundraising in general. So if you're holding, maybe you're holding an event, and which the proceeds are going to come back to your charity, you still have to use risk analysis will still be applicable. There are different things that will be applicable. Steeple analysis was mainly a business term for you to understand the social, technical, economic, environmental, political, legal, and ethical aspects of your fundraising activities. Life cycle analysis. And this, again, is a business tool, but it's applicable that we can use in the third sector. And it's just used, and it's originally used to map the journey of a product in the market, but you can also use this to look at where you are with your fundraising and the stages of your fundraising activity. So this might not necessarily apply to fundraising, for instance, like bid writing. This might more so have to do with like maybe the services that you're offering. This is life cycle analysis, and there's 4 stages. There's introduction, growth, maturity, and saturation. With introduction, that's entry into the marketplace. And at this point, there's not much profit to be made as the product and services haven't built a reputation yet, and focus is more on breaking even and recuperating costs. To use that example, again, the wristbands. At first, when the charity introduced, so the first charity, and for the sake of this example, we'll say breast cancer awareness, they first introduced it. So they were the first charity to have the wristband. At first, they would have had to recoup their costs, but by the time people became aware of it, of their wristband, and sales grew, that would have been very profitable for them. They would have then had to be mindful about this stage, maturity, because other charities would have clocked on, so the NSPCC would have been like, that's a nice little earner, we want to get in on that as well. So that would be the maturity stage. Then there's the saturation stage, which I'm sure everyone's aware of. Many of the big charities have those wristbands. So that's the life cycle. So like I said, it's a business, so it might not necessarily work for everything, but I just think it's important that you're mindful, you're mapping out your activities and seeing how worthwhile they are to your organization. Unique selling points, that's another business term, but like I said, it fits in with life cycle. It's very, very important. You need to know what makes your organization different from other, differentiates yourselves from other organizations, and it's very hard sometimes just to, especially when you feel like you're the only person that's offering what you're offering, but the reality is that that's not the truth. It doesn't negate the fact that what you're doing is not needed. It just means that you just have to be clear. You have to be able to communicate that to other people. SWOT analysis. It looks at the strengths, the weaknesses, and the opportunities and threats that an organization might face. The SWOT analysis helps you to identify where they're coming from. So Opportunities are external, threats are external as well, and strengths are internal, and weaknesses are internal as well. So the internal things, well, I'm of the opinion that the internal things you have more of, you're able to deal with more than the external. So I guess with the external stuff, you don't have much control over. Mapping out your activities on the life cycle, using the life cycle, that could be a strength, and that's something that's internal, and that's something that you have control over. Using the SMART tool, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time specific. And it's really important that you use this, I feel, for each of your objectives. Stakeholders are any group of people who could either lose or gain because of your organization's activities. And the reason why you need to be aware of these things, and the reason why you need to ask yourself the questions that are in the middle, is because it will affect your fundraising. Not all the stakeholder groups will necessarily be applicable to your organization, but it's just that I just want everyone just to think about how their organization's activities, or a project in particular, how they would affect these groups. All of these tools are there to help us to go through the fundraising cycle, and that's establishing the case for support. So that's establishing the reason why your organization provides these services, or the reason why you're setting up this project, helping you to do the research to back that up, developing a plan of how you're going to actually deliver your organization's objectives, or the objectives of the project, and then you have to monitor and evaluate. Then you start the process all over again.